Space bar, yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay, great. All righty, I am going to talk a little bit about the USO today. And again, as Laura said, Diane Schuette. And I started volunteering with the USO back in 2014 after hearing about it at a Rotary meeting. Imagine that. The executive director over at Lambert, the USO of Missouri over at Lambert, came and spoke to our Rotary meeting in Alton. And I'll get into that in a little bit more, but that's what kind of piqued my interest. And I'm going to talk a little bit about volunteering, volunteer opportunities, how folks can support the USO, and just a little bit more about the mission. My daughter is active duty Air Force. She's been in 18 years now. And, you know, I wanted to do a little bit more than just sending care packages when she was deployed. And whenever I heard the speaker, I'm like, you know, it's not that far over Lambert. I think I could do that. So I started volunteering through the week, or I'm sorry, on the weekends when I was still working. So I would do like a 4-hour shift on a Saturday or a Sunday. And that's kind of how the shifts are broken up into 4-hour segments. And I retired a couple of years ago, so I moved my shifts through the week because, you know, when you're retired, every day is Saturday. Yeah. Which is great. Retirement. Yeah. And so in addition to the shifts that I work over there, the USO started a volunteer ambassador program. And so I am here today as a volunteer ambassador to try and help recruit more volunteers to come over there. You guys are my guinea pigs, okay? So I went through training a couple of weeks ago on this presentation and just kind of talking a little bit about the mission. And just a couple of stories. Every time I volunteer, there's always something that I like to share. And today I got through with my shift today, and you know, I had things to share on that shift. So every day there's every shift there's something. Last month there was something that really touched me, and I was volunteering the 6 to 10 shift. And a mom and a young man, and he's pictured here, Will is his name. They entered the facility, and when chatting with them, I learned that they are a Gold Star family. So Will lost his father when he was 3, and Will is 13 now. And they were they were remembering, honoring Will's dad that day. It was the 10-year anniversary of his passing. And it just, you know, when talking with him, it just really touched me a lot, and, you know, very emotional. They had just gotten back from Texas, where Will ran his first 5K carrying the flag in memory of his dad. So I've kind of become friends with his mom, text friends with his mom. And she texted me this picture and just a little text about the St. Louis USO. And they've been to many across the country in the past 10 years. So there were a lot of emotions that day just with that family. And then I remember a couple of other stories or experiences that I had. And you guys may have seen this on the news around Christmas time. It's called Holiday Block Leave over at the airport. There are hundreds and hundreds in Lambert. You'll see military members all over the airport because they're coming up from Fort Leonard Wood. They finished their basic training. They're going home to see their parents. And it's a really big deal for the volunteers to go over there. I mean, we staff it 24 hours that day for a couple of days. And we have, you know, the blues players and the mascots coming in. We have DJs just to really send these service members off. And I remember seeing this young girl. To me, she looked like she was 12, but she was 18. She just finished basic training, and she was flying home to California. And she was just kind of off in a corner by herself. So I kind of went up and talked with her, you know, got to know her a little bit. And she was fearful of going home because she had not told her parents that she had enlisted. So, and she goes, my mom is gonna be so mad at me. And I was like, your mother is gonna be so proud of you and she loves you. Do not worry about this. So I like to think that I calmed her down a little bit that day, but she was very anxious about that. You know, we get a lot of young service members, a lot of new recruits who come in. They've never been to an airport before. They've never been on a plane. They've not been away from mom and dad. So they come into the facility and we're there to spoil them, to guide and support them, you know, on their journey until they, you know, have to get on that bus to go to basic training or whatever they are going to. So next, there is a video that we're going to share and we're going to try and do it this way, but if we need to back out, Shane will back that out. Okay, let me see if I press this button, if it works. Okay, it didn't work. So I'm going to hit escape and whoops, go down there. Let's see if I can do this and click it there. No. Now try and click it.
Think of the USO, and you probably think of Bob Hope visiting troops overseas.
Every day on many battlefronts, the American soldier sitting around, worried, trying not to think things left behind. And that's what USO goes into action.
Our service members and their families willingly make sacrifices on behalf of all Americans. But they're human. They need laughter. They need comfort. They need connection. That's what the USO does. Since 1941, the USO has been a nonprofit to support U.S. military service members and their families all over.
The USO has been there for 5 generations of my family. It started with my grandmother serving coffee at the USO in Boston, up to my grandchildren, scooped up by the USO volunteers, never at the airport or out of here when I was 17. With every generation, USO has adapted to meet the ever-changing needs of our armed forces. The USO is a modern, agile, innovative, unique organization. We're not your grandparents' USO. It takes an organization with global reach to keep up with the military. So we go where they go. From the day they walk into the door, like military entry processing center, until they transition back out into civilian life. The USO is made for them and their families every step of the way.
We've seen how our programs are critical for their well-being. Technology has accelerated their ability to connect. When we connect service members in really remote places to high-speed Wi-Fi, we open up the world to them. How's everybody doing? Oh, we're good. We've expanded our entertainment program where they can interact with the entertainers one-on-one. I just absolutely love looking at USO. And our community tournaments helps them stay connected to friends and family back home.
Our service members are very tough. But they have days just like all of us do, where the load is heavy on them. We give them that lift.
My first experience with the USO was in Iraq in 2006, 2007. And we lost a lot of teammates, but the USO was there. And it provided a lot of comfort for a lot of people. Being connected to your family members is vital for your soul. Because when you're not connected, it just turns to the bad situation.
My husband's currently deployed to Iraq. He'll be gone around 328 days. Please count them. The deployment's really hard on all of us, and I think about the kids the most, but the deployment's really hard too. You don't have your best friend. We know he's keeping us safe. What does it say? Hi. USO has really kept us connected. Sometimes it's the only way you can call us is to be at the USO and use their Wi-Fi. Daddy, how do you this? We love you. Bye. even while they're gone, the USO is really taking care of us, making sure that we're provided for and that we love, and we know that we're part of the military community.
This is Daddy speaking. I am in Al Assad, Iraq. I am the little blue truck bound.
The USO reading program makes Daddy there at the time.
The nice one.
These things seem so small, like they're huge to us. And to have little things to make day-to-day easier and better is really a wonderful thing. It's a really wonderful thing.
For the last 50 years, every man who has entered the military is volunteer. And I believe that in democracy, you serve or you support those who serve.
It's really important that if there's somebody who's there to make one, to have that hand on their shoulder when they need it most. Imagine an organization that does this over 10 million times a year. That's the USO. By supporting the USO, you are supporting the men and their families who are making sacrifices to protect our way. You show them that they're not alone.
All right. So you guys probably saw the notes down there that said what USO stands for, right? United Service, let's see if I can get this back here. United Service Organizations, and FDR kind of he united 6 different groups back, I think in 1941. It's Salvation Army, YWCA, YMCA, National Catholic Community Services, National Travelers Aid Association, and the National Jewish Welfare Board. So that if you're ever at a trivia night, that might be a question on there. Never know. Yeah. So the USO Center, like the one over at Lambert, they are offered in 30 countries and in 39 states. So a lot of stats on this slide here. But even more so, other than the centers themselves, as the video mentioned, there's a reading program, there's the USO K-9 program, care packages. So reaching service members and their families in 134 countries and all the states and US territories. So there's a big reach there. And just note that the USO is not a governmental agency, but there is a congressional caucus that works closely with the Department of Defense, allowing USO access to some of those areas where maybe other not-for-profits can go to, but the USO can. So the St. Louis USO, and I call it St. Louis, it's the USO of Missouri, because there's Fort Leonard Wood, there's Lambert, there's a new facility in Kansas City now, and then we also do some outreach over at Scott States. But the main hub is over at Lambert. It's near the luggage carousel, if you've ever walked by there before. And our hours, we used to be a 24-hour facility, and we had some cots in there, and we had some visitors spend the night if their flights were canceled. But now we're open from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. And you can see some of the amenities that we have. Gaming, as they talked about, we have a large theater room. We have a lot of snacks. We have chili, and we have those canned soups that you were talking about over there. We have a quiet space in a kids area as well. And we have a lot of families coming in with their little ones. So we like to have little packages for the kiddos. And we see about 3,000 service members and family members come through every month. And so just kind of to wrap up here, we have volunteer opportunities available at Lambert and even at Scott Air Force Base at our special events. Really, it's the volunteers who run the facility. There are paid 1.5 paid staff people, but they're often at those other facilities that I mentioned. So the volunteers open it up and we close it at night. We're there taking care of all of our guests. We engage them, we spoil them. That's kind of what we do. Just recently went through a refresh. So the photos on the left are kind of how it had been for many, many years. And it's totally, it's really changed a lot, this year with our, refresh of the facility. And then on your table, there are some handouts if you're interested in volunteering. You can click that or my information there. My email is there. Also, if you'd like to support in any way, there's a QR code for that. The goal of the USO is to really have all facilities that have more consistent offerings. St. Louis has a lot of great things. They're kind of like the Cadillac of the USOs with what's offered there. But we want to make sure that if they're stationed over in Iraq or in Guam or wherever it may be, that they also have a USO that has similar activities so that, you know, they can benefit from that. And I'll just kind of wrap up there. Any questions about the USO? Yes.
Where are you located?
It's right by the luggage carousel. So it's in Terminal 1. And down on the lower level when you come in, and it's right on your way to the Delta Airlines. So right by gate A, I believe that is. Okay. All right, thank you. Oh, I have one shameless plug though. Do I have to pay a fine? Yeah. Laura does. Oh. Sorry, Fran. There's also a flyer at your table on the Riverbend East has a Pints for Polio event coming up in this month. It's October 16th, I believe. 23rd. Okay, it was somewhere around there. It's a Thursday night. So yeah, but it's a great event in East Altonwood River, and again, it raises money for the Rotary International Polio. Thank you.
Senator Peace, on behalf of Home Nursery and the Dawson family, there's